Hey there, amazing friends. I warmly invite you to join me on this exciting journey by subscribing to my channel, liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. Every like, comment, and share brings us closer together and fuels my passion to create more great content. Your support truly makes all the difference. Thank you for being the heart of this community. Unseen guests of the galaxy, the bizarre midnight radio signals that sparked an alien hunt. On a cool autumn night in late October, when the stars hung like scattered diamonds across a velvet sky, something extraordinary interrupted the usual hum of terrestrial life. In a remote corner of the world, far from city lights and the predictable chatter of commercial radio frequencies, a series of bizarre, otherworldly signals began to pulse across the airwaves. It was as if the void of space had suddenly decided to speak. The phenomenon was first detected by a small, independent radio station in a rural observatory, where amateur astronomers and radio enthusiasts had long watched the cosmos with a mix of scientific curiosity and quiet wonder. At precisely midnight, a series of rhythmic beeps and ethereal tones emerged from the static, interlacing with what appeared to be fragments of Morse code. The signal was haunting, hypnotic, and utterly inexplicable, a spectral symphony that defied all conventional explanations. The first listener to report the phenomenon was a quiet, bespectacled man named Harold Finch, a longtime hobbyist with a passion for tuning into the frequencies of the unknown. Finch described the sound as a call from beyond, a series of modulated pulses that seemed to carry a deliberate message. At first, he thought it might be an experimental broadcast from a government agency or even a pirate radio station operating under clandestine orders. But the structure and cadence of the signal bore no resemblance to any human communication. It was as though the radio itself had become a portal, channeling whispers from a realm that lay far beyond our familiar earthly domain. Within hours, word of the midnight radio signal spread through online forums, local news outlets, and even academic circles. A small group of UFO researchers and amateur astronomers, known collectively as the Celestial Inquiry Alliance, rallied together to decipher the cryptic transmission. Led by Dr. Miriam Alvarez, a former astrophysicist whose career had been derailed by institutional skepticism, this ragtag team set up portable equipment in a secluded field near an abandoned radio tower. Under the pristine light of a full moon, they monitored the frequency with bated breath, hoping for a repeat performance. Their equipment, calibrated to capture even the faintest electromagnetic anomalies, soon confirmed that the signal was not a random glitch. Instead, it repeated every 13 minutes, a cadence so precise that it suggested intentional design. As the team worked feverishly to decode the strange pulses, a series of eerie coincidences began to unfold. Local residents reported hearing soft, melodic hums emanating from the direction of the old tower, as if the sound was seeping into the very air. Farmers along the nearby dirt roads swore that their cattle appeared unusually agitated that night, and even the normally stolid owls in the surrounding woods seemed restless, their calls mingling with a persistent signal. Dr. Alvarez and her team managed to capture several minutes of the transmission, which they then subjected to spectral analysis. The results were as confounding as the phenomenon itself. The waveform exhibited properties that defied current scientific models, with sudden frequency shifts and bursts of static that, when isolated, resembled fragments of ancient languages or even a cosmic lullaby. Over the next several nights, the signal persisted. Each time, it began exactly at midnight, pulsing in a steady rhythm that was both mesmerizing and deeply unsettling. The researchers noticed that the amplitude of the signal subtly increased with each occurrence, as if building toward a climax. They speculated that the transmission might be a kind of cosmic beacon, a call for attention from an alien intelligence that had long observed our world from afar. One theory proposed that the signal was inadvertently triggered by a deep space event, a supernova, or a collision between celestial bodies, sending ripples of electromagnetic energy that, when intercepted by our primitive instruments, appeared to be a coherent message. Another hypothesis, more unsettling in its implications, was that the signal was an intentional broadcast from an advanced civilization. In this view, the rhythmic pulses were a test, a beckoning call designed to see who among us was worthy of contact, or perhaps a warning meant to prepare humanity for an inevitable encounter. As the Celestial Inquiry Alliance deepened its investigation, tensions began to mount. Dr. Alvarez, whose passion for discovery was matched only by her skepticism of facile explanations, grew increasingly obsessed with the idea that the signal was a deliberate invitation, a cosmic handshake, if you will, from beings not of our world. Late nights spent analyzing data turned into sleepless marathons under the cold light of computer screens. In one particularly intense session, she and her team decoded a brief segment that translated roughly as, "We come in peace, but beware." The message was truncated by interference, and no one could be absolutely sure of its authenticity. Still, that tantalizing snippet sent shivers down the spines of everyone present. The notion that an advanced, benevolent, or perhaps cautionary force was reaching out to humanity ignited both hope and fear in equal measure. Amid these scientific pursuits, local legends began to mingle with a growing body of evidence. Elderly residents recalled stories passed down through generations about the night's call, a mysterious phenomenon in which the sky would shimmer and a soft, almost musical hum would be heard over the fields. Some even claimed that in ancient times, before the advent of modern technology, shamans and seers would interpret these sounds as messages from the gods. Could it be that the current signal was simply a modern echo of a phenomenon that had been observed for millennia? Such ideas, though romantic in their appeal, only deepened the mystery, blurring the line between scientific inquiry and myth-making. One crisp, starlit evening, as the team gathered at the tower for another round of observations, an unexpected event occurred that would forever change the trajectory of their investigation. At precisely midnight, as the signal began its familiar cadence, a sudden, sharp burst of energy surged through the equipment. The monitors flickered wildly, and a brief, distorted image flashed on the screen, a silhouette, humanoid in shape, standing amid a swirling cascade of starlight. The image was fleeting, lasting only a few agonizing seconds before the signal resumed its normal pattern. The revelation sent shockwaves through the team. In that instant, the possibility that the signal was a deliberate invitation from extraterrestrial intelligence transformed from a mere hypothesis into a terrifying, almost palpable reality. Dr. Alvarez's voice trembled as she addressed the group in the aftermath. "We've seen something, a shape, a figure, that wasn't a malfunction. It was as if we caught a glimpse of an entity, or at least its projection, within the beam." The room fell silent, the weight of the moment pressing down on every heart. The discovery galvanized the researchers to push further. They recalibrated their instruments, set up additional cameras, and even invited a few independent experts in radio astronomy and quantum physics to join their efforts. Each new observation added layers of complexity to the mystery. The signal's intensity, the occasional appearance of spectral images, and the eerie repetition of what might be a hidden message all hinted at a phenomenon that defied easy classification. The ensuing weeks were a maelstrom of activity. Articles appeared in niche scientific journals and online conspiracy forums alike, debating the origins of the midnight signal. Some argued that it was a natural quirk, a rare interplay of solar winds and cosmic background radiation. Others, emboldened by the appearance of the shadowy figure, contended that humanity had finally been noticed by an advanced civilization. International media picked up snippets of the story, though major news outlets remained cautious, citing a lack of peer-reviewed evidence. Yet for those present at the remote tower, The experience was undeniable. The signal was not a mere anomaly, but a deliberate communication, an invitation, or perhaps even a test. Local residents, initially indifferent to the scientific commotion, began to report their own strange encounters. A truck driver mentioned seeing a bright, pulsating light hovering above a nearby field. A farmer swore that the night air carried whispers that sounded almost like laughter, soft, melodic, and utterly otherworldly. These personal accounts, though isolated and often dismissed by the authorities as overactive imaginations, lent an air of grassroots authenticity to the unfolding saga. It was as if the entire region had become a focal point for cosmic curiosity, where the boundary between our world and the vast unknown was tenuously thin. One night, emboldened by the growing consensus among his peers and the mounting evidence on his equipment, Dr. Alvarez led a final all-night observation session. The team gathered in the observatory, their eyes fixed on the monitors as the clock struck midnight. The familiar cadence of the signal began, and the room filled with a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in their chests. Then, as if on cue, the monitors shuddered with a sudden surge of activity. This time, the spectral image that appeared was far clearer, a figure with elongated features, eyes that glowed like distant stars, and a presence that exuded both serenity and an unfathomable sadness. The image held for nearly 30 seconds, long enough for every member of the team to feel its profound impact. It was as if the figure was silently speaking to them, urging them to look beyond the veil of ordinary life and to embrace the mystery that lay in the cosmos. The recording captured every nuance, the wavering signal, the soft, cryptic murmurs embedded in the static, the undeniable imprint of something otherworldly. When the transmission ended, the silence that followed was heavier than any they had experienced before. In that charged moment, Dr. Alvarez summed up the team's collective awe and terror. We have seen a glimpse, a message from the unseen guests of the galaxy. Whether they come in peace or as heralds of change, we now know that we are not alone. And tonight, they have spoken. The discovery ignited a global debate that still simmers in online forums, in academic debates, and in whispered conversations among those who study the stars. Skeptics argue that the phenomenon can be explained by rare atmospheric conditions or even technical malfunctions. Yet the consistency of the midnight signal, its precise cadence, and the spectral appearance that defied all conventional explanations have swayed many to consider the possibility that humanity has, at long last, been beckoned by an intelligence beyond our own. For Harold Finch, the original listener who first reported the strange broadcast, the memory remains both a source of wonder and a persistent ache, a longing for answers that might never come. For the Celestial Inquiry Alliance, and for Dr. Alvarez and her team, the mystery of that night has become a beacon, urging them to keep searching, to keep listening to the whispers of the galaxy, even if those whispers might one day lead them to truths that challenge everything we know about our place in the universe. As you listen to this story, let your mind wander across the star-speckled void. Imagine that, on a cool, quiet night, a series of rhythmic pulses and ghostly images appear on your radio, beckoning you to explore the unknown. Picture the unending quest of a dedicated team striving to decode a cosmic message, a message that, if true, means that we are part of a far larger interstellar conversation. And perhaps in that quest, you too will hear the call of the unseen guests of the galaxy, a call that lingers in the silence, echoing in the vast expanse of space, urging you to believe that somewhere beyond our familiar horizons, a new chapter of contact is waiting to be written.